definition of hana. By the absence of avidya, so if avidya is absent, avidya means ignorance, lack of knowledge and understanding. So when avidya is absent, then the union disappears. So here, Prakriti and nature and yourself, the interaction produces some form of clarity, interaction, but not attachment. If attachment with whatever objects that we are living with becomes very chronic, it becomes painful. Even if you say, I love this person so much, I become possessive of, then there is a loss of love. Possessiveness creates pain. This is the reason why in your yama you have something called aparigraha. Parigraha means possessiveness. Aparigraha means not possessive. Doesn't mean lack of love, but more understanding. When there is understanding, there is trust, right? And with that trust, you are able to let go and allow that person to grow. At the same time, you are there as a mentor, as a person who is observing and creating some form of guidance. Not ultimate or total guidance that is so regimented, so structured that nobody actually grows. You don't grow, the other person doesn't grow. So this hana, this avoidance, in the concept of yoga is called liberation of the Purusha. That means the Purusha becomes free from Prakriti, from nature, bound by nature. So in fact you learn from nature, you learn from the circumstances and situations, you learn from so many people and circumstances and life experience, but you don't get attached to that. If you get attached to a particular experience, you say, this is the experience, I learn from this experience, I learn from this experience, I take this as an absolute experience, can I grow? No, if that particular experience comes again in another form, I cannot grow because I am attached to that particular perception of that, right? So you see how fine and subtle things are, that every experience can become a state of bondage. The reason why when we talk about philosophy, and it has to be very dynamic and creative, and you have seen me talking about it cannot be something which you relate to memory. I don't memorize this, I don't remember the sutras, but I've read them many times, I don't remember. I don't want to remember that, I don't want to commit them to memory. There are many people who have memorized, and concept of living has to be creative. We have to have the fearlessness to question. If it doesn't make sense, if it makes sense when you are 8 years old, but it doesn't make sense when you are 18 years old, then you have the right to question the person. And the person says, you keep quiet, don't ask questions, it's time to leave. Forget about this because they don't have the answers. If the person, no matter who they are, if they say keep quiet, just listen, it's time to forget. You can still love them, you can still continue with your relationship as your father, as your mother, as your guru, or whatever it is, but it is not there conducive to take them as your teacher anymore. Then you have to find the teacher where? Within yourself. Time to search. This is what is called liberation of the Purusha, is when you introspect with the clarity and the confidence of a creative approach. So please give this creativity the highest respect. The creativity that comes from inside. There's so much things that can happen inside. There's such great wisdom from inside. But people don't attain it because there are so many things outside. They want to find every single answer from somebody else. But everything is structured and regimented and is not creative. So how to find the reality and the truth? When I stop and I start asking questions from inside, and then be patient enough to listen to the answer that comes from inside, right? So that means, who do you become confident with? What happens to your personality? You become a confident person. But is that what is coming from inside? Is it ultimate? Then you say that, oh, what has come from inside is absolute and ultimate, therefore I am the prophet of this century. No, whatever is coming from inside is only for you and is for your realization. When you are speaking to 20 people, your view is one of the views. Is one of the views, and 19 other views are also accepted to contemplate. So we become a nation of viveki, ability to viveka means ability to discriminate between what is right and wrong, what is real and unreal, what is permanent and not permanent, what causes pain and what causes pleasure. That is called viveka. So here it is not what is outside, it is what is in my mind, this avidya. Is this avidya? Is this ignorance or is this vidya? Is this knowledge permanent? Is this at this moment I can take it, but the next moment when I realize something else, can I let this go? Or this is confidence. Can I let this go? This seems premature and immature. Can I take something else right now which seems to be more clearer, more logical, more creative, more conducive? For now, I attempt to do this, and then after some time, if it doesn't work, then I let go. It is not dissipation or lack of direction, no, it is a form of creativity. Creativity is always changing, is always new, is always fresh, right? It makes you feel so alive. A creative mind is a fresh and happy mind. And then it leads to many stages of enlightenment. So here Patanjali seems to be talking about 7 stages of enlightenment, and in Hatha Yoga we have 7 chakras. So the chakras, by focusing and meditating and practicing yoga, the chakras starts to vibrate. You start to feel. Sometimes you don't feel, it's okay, it doesn't matter. But people like Hiroshi Motoyama is a Japanese researcher. Many years ago, he created some devices, some medical equipment. He's a doctor. He created some medical equipments where he placed on the spine, and every part of the spine, where the yogi is mentioned as Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Visuddhi, Ajna, and Sahasrara, seems to be emanating with lots of energy. But in between the chakras, when he placed the device, doesn't seem to have that kind of frequency. But exactly where he placed these electrodes, there seems to be emanating a lot of energy. And especially if the person has been very meditating on those chakras, seems to be emanating a lot more energy. So science can prove the existence of the chakras, whether you feel or not. If science can prove, then we have to accept it, right? So that is how a scientist approaches it. He approaches it with an awareness that I'll be neutral until I can see whether it works or not. If it works, I believe. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter what religion or which preacher says this, I'm not going to listen to it. You understand what I'm saying? And to have all of this, it is practice. Practicing with a lot of doubts. No, cannot. Practicing with neutral awareness, yes, this is how a scientific practice is. You practice with awareness of seeing whether it is working for me or not. Practicing today, tomorrow, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, 7 years. This is how people do. You see the greatest scientists who have ever created a name for themselves, they have been experimenting for so many years. So many years they have been experimenting to find the truth. The problem with modern life is that there is lack of discipline. 1 day, 2 day, lack of discipline in so many areas. Sleep, mitahara, food, consistency of thinking, ability to maintain an independence of thought. Immediately after some time, they go back and listen to somebody else's YouTube or somebody else's writing. They don't have that confidence that here itself, within yourself, lies so much of wisdom. But in order to tap the wisdom, and the reason why this lack of consistency in oneself is taking place is because lack of practice, number 1. Number 2, too many variations in the practice. Today we go to one teacher, the next day another teacher, so many styles. What is going to happen to your internal cellular memory? It's going to be so confused. This style, that style, what style? Which style? What is Hatha Yoga style? Hatha Yoga style is awareness of Sthiram and Sukham. So you follow that style and then experiment with that style and then follow it until you get some kind of clarity. And then if you want to experiment to prove whether the other style is working or not, then. But here is lifestyle. This is the issue. Lifestyle. I have that particular lifestyle where it doesn't work like that. This lifestyle is very much composed of composure. clarity, awareness, one system. You dig deep. In sports science, in the study of physiology, of anatomy, neurology, in all forms of self-development, starting from sports into neurological advances, they say that in 48 hours, certain habit patterns which we started at the hour 1, the first hour, by the 49th hour it disappears. 48th hour is still there. And it is consistency. That means you dig and you dig deep in one path, creating an awareness of that part's efficiency in your system. But if you dig this, and then you go at that style, and then that style, and that system, this system, that philosophy, that practice, this practice, then that 48 hours becomes very shallow, and no wonder still get trouble, still get confused. I'm practicing every day, I'm going for classes every day, I'm listening to this YouTube, I'm listening to this TV, I'm reading this book, I'm going for classes, this center, this place, that teacher, that philosophy, that concept. There seems to be no growth. There seems to be no growth, and seems to be able to still get afflicted. Klesha. So you have to go back to science. Science says if you are practicing for 100 meters, it is 100 meters. It seems to be that if he focuses on 100 meters for a period of time, just exclusively, he breaks all the records. The moment he goes and he goes to train on 200 meters, he loses the efficiency on the 100 meters. So this ability to concentrate on one thing is so important. Then it culminates with reality, because reality is, there is only one reality. So this one reality has to be focused exclusively. Through what? Through a certain discipline.